starts off at a much more lighter note, like chore and all, and but as you progress through it, it gets serious. Like, was there like a big thought process around the narrative of building of it, or like was it
So
like
the songs on day one broadly can be categorized into two groups. One is the stuff that we wrote when we started out, which was like our first year of college, or maybe a little before that, when we were finishing school. And like the older songs, Day One, Cynicism, and Old Monk.
Ring Light also?
Ring Light is not on the album.
Oh,
Ring Light was our first single.
I remember.
But those are the older songs, and the newer songs we kind of worked on with the new lineup. Some of those were ideas that Shubhang and I had lying around, and ideas that I had that did not come to fruition in the first stretch that we had with the first lineup. So a lot of the newer stuff is more solemn, and it's maybe a little more politically and socially relevant. Because I don't think you can live in this environment and not write things that are political. If you're doing that, you're a bum. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck you. And तो मतलब फंडा वही है कि progression ऐसी थी that lots of people know us for the goofier, more sardonic, skitty kind of sound. Like, you know, it's very SNL music. In some ways.
Not exactly.
Yeah, like Lonely Island.
Don't put yourself down like that. Like,
I'm not. ठीक है. Hyperbole में क्या जा रहा है? है ना? But kind of reel the existing audiences in with that, because that's what people know us for, the people that do know us. And then you kind of lean into the storytelling a bit more. The stuff that rings truer now. So you have songs on the second half like Aag and Farewell, which are a little more solemn. Even Telephone, which is I think the fifth track.
Yeah.
Telephone is the first love song I've written properly.
How?
With Delhi Vision. I'm not going to go into that. This format isn't long enough for that.
Yeah. Okay. So you heard it here, folks. Like, rock and roll is supposed to be fucking political. If it's not fucking rock and roll.
It's not rock and roll.
Like, I'm sorry, Bollywood rock fans, you're not gonna hearing this now.
No man. I mean, it's not even about Bollywood. I think there's lots of people in the indie scene that like posturing themselves as political beings. But as far as it comes to your songwriting, it's really inward looking and really just obtuse and do better, man. Like if you're taking up space through this platform, then use that space for good and express yourself, because you do have an opinion and everyone knows that. And if you're not consciously voicing your opinion, then it's easy to figure out what kind of opinions you have.
And I wanted to ask, like, there are some violin parts also in the.
Those are played by our very good friend Raghav Chandra.
Okay.
He has since shifted to Mumbai. His father was one of the founding members for Mrigya.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, Sharad Chandra.
Mrigya is the new classical band, right?
Yeah, and he was also the violinist for Parikrama in the 90s.
Oh, makes sense. And you took lessons from Nitin Malik of Parikrama?
Yes, so there's some degree of pedigree happening.
Yeah, 100%.
And my guitar teacher was Saibal Basu, most famously from Orange Street, but less famously the best guitarist this country has ever seen.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I heard that violin part in one of your songs, I was like, oh my god, yeah.
So the story about that is that like the first version of Old Monk was a single.
Yeah.
It was our second single, came out in September of 23. And it just made sense to bring Raghav on board because the first version had Shubhang doing the sax solo on the keyboard, which kind of gave it a clubbier feel. Again, that's a very 80s pop thing to do. A synth keyboard patch with all the modulations and all your CC values going up and down. But Raghav came on board, and that gives it a very different flavor from the rest of the album. Almost like an Advaita-like flavor, because Raghav does play Indian classical violin.
Yeah.
But he did build on some of the motifs that Shubhang had come up with for the first version. So it was really nice to. I think this entire album has taken what we knew and built on that with new help from new friends and new members of our circles. And it's exciting to see where this workflow will take us next.
Nice. So it's like a very self-contained but very, very productive workflow.
Very productive workflow. It is self-contained. I think there is agreement within the band that we want to be a bit more outward-looking with the production next time. Hopefully, as people listen and as we gather the resources and the wherewithal to do this. But we've learned a lot just making the album in its current form. And it's stuff that we're never going to forget. It's rock and roll, it's bare bones, it's meat and veg.
Also, like,
this is what Adi likes to say. He likes to say bread and butter. You know?
like you said, like it's a very DIY setup, right? But a lot of DIY artists, they get into the rut of like perfectionism, right? Like they want to make it perfect before releasing. Like, like did you all have this conversation and all within the
I mean,
band?
I can
Like-
speak for myself. I've had this problem throughout my very nascent career, where I felt like I have to polish things. But the thing is that you end up chasing the polish.
Yeah.
The essence of what you're doing gets lost in that. And we're all in a rat race, musically speaking. It doesn't matter if you're in the arts. I think the pace at which we're all working right now is very akin to the corporate world, right? So the lines are kind of blurred, and if a song is an asset, then you're expected to put out a fresh asset every 2 months, 3 months, and all that, and like it's just not, because these songs are all products now. So kind of having to draw a good middle ground between that school of thought where you're just churning things out, and like content and all that, and another thing where you're just trying to do justice to your sound and being happy with it. I do think that a lot of us get lost in the perfectionism of it all, because you can't be perfect. I don't think there are very few people in our scene, like let alone us. I don't think we're there, but there are very few people in our scene that are even close to perfection.
Yeah.
Even in their workflow, in their sensibilities and all that. Like lots of big names come to mind, especially in the world of guitar. Like Warren comes to mind, Beju, and all of those people that
100%.
just make gold every time they touch the instrument.
I am not that person.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
I'm not going to be there for a very long time, and if I do ever get there, it's going to be through years and years of long hours of practice. So I don't think you should waste any time doing that.
Also,
Like not practice, of course. You should practice. That's not wasting time. Don't waste your time on perfectionism,
Guys,
man.
fucking practice. The number of bands that I see now that are fucking up on stage because they haven't practiced enough now.
Yeah, man. Hey, we were there too. But I mean, I guess we have the excuse of being young.
Yeah. You have it. Not anymore. What are you, 20?
I'm 20 right now.